course, we are coming to our review of a new movie. And that is, of course, Asteroid City, which is now playing in theaters.
Yeah, Asteroid City I saw on I went to a night show, really enjoyed it, walked out like that was a really great Wes Anderson movie. And went to bed, woke up the next morning and was just like, I have so many thoughts about this. Just one of those films that the more I think about it, the more I find things that I love about it. And I think it's Wes's most ambitious movie by far, just with the structure, how he has it as like a TV program about a play and then showing the play, but he moves back and forth throughout all those things. It's not kind of like that nesting situation that we saw with Grand Budapest. And he's distinguishing that through like the aspect ratio and color, and characters are like moving in and out of all of these different situations and kind of like bleeding into each other. I just found that so fascinating, but also just the story itself about how it's basically about, you know, this existential terror about, you know, the world around us, and how do we cope with grief and impending doom and all of these things. And a lot of it is through art and creating. And I thought, as devastating as I found parts of it, it ended on, I think, a very hopeful note still. And it's just really funny, like all of his movies. This is maybe one of the funnier ones, actually. Yeah, I loved it.
I came out of it fairly just like fine. I think I went into it maybe with some people were looking at some people's like Wes Anderson rankings and seeing where they would put it over certain movies, and I would be like, oh, so this has the potential to be among like my favorite movies ever. So I went into it with maybe a bit too high of expectations, and it definitely wasn't what I at least thought it was going to be. Most specifically, what you referred to in regards to the whole framing device of the movie. But now that I've actually seen it and now that I know what to expect, I think going back to it and rewatching it, I will be much more comprehensive towards it, because it was quite jarring for me, at least on the first viewing. But just hearing everybody talk about it and like how much people do really like it, and just going into the whole theme is about like how we use art to like kind of not like cope, but just kind of like get through life almost, I think has just really kind of helped me reevaluate the movie and encouraged me to go see it again. Because I mean, like I've mentioned with Royal Tenenbaums, I mean, West films typically do get better for me, at least with more rewatches. So yeah. I'm definitely really excited to go back and see, and I definitely think that my rating could improve with more watches.
I'm very much with Jack here. I think I came out of it being like, all right, like, listen, everything within the actual movie, within Asteroid City, I really liked. I thought it was funny. I thought it was occasionally slow, but it was like really well done. I mean, it looks like a painting, honestly. Like it's so saturated, and the cast is all great. I think especially like Maya Hawke and Jeffrey Wright. Stephen Park even is really good in it. Hope Davis, Leif Schreiber. Some of the kids are really fun. There's a lot of great jokes that are also just really outrageous. Like whatever version of the most like 11, like dialed to an 11 version of that joke Wes could have written, he puts it in there. And but where the movie lost me is I just didn't like the framing device. Every time it cut back to like the black and white with the actors, I was like, okay, how is this really like contributing? I didn't really get it. When the climax came, there was a climactic scene within the world of the actors. I understood exactly why he was putting it in. But again, I feel like we could have cut a lot of that. And it also makes you think like, oh, it's all happening within like these people are acting within like a different world. It kind of, you have to suspend disbelief because the world of Asteroid City is so much more interesting than the actor Jason Schwartzman life or actor Scarlett Johansson's life or like Bryan Cranston's a great narrator. It's just that whole segment I think didn't need to be as long as it was, and it's also consistently intercut within the movie.
I'm excited to see it again because I do think that that framing device is kind of confounding just because it is so complex. Like I really
Mhm.
had to sit back and think like, okay, where are we now? Are we in the show? Are we acting? Are we in the play? Like what's happening here? But yeah, I think it's
Yeah, it
fascinating.
confused me for a bit because it was like, oh, so are we watching Jason Schwartzman's life as an actor inside Asteroid City, or
Mhm.
is this the character, or is he
Right.
like right? It took me a while to understand what was going on, and also they just like Wes Anderson's writing is such like high-end, complex English. So
Mhm.
as much as you enjoy it, like you have to really listen all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but if this was just everything inside of Asteroid City, I think it's really good. Like some of the actors, I think Tom Hanks gives such a great performance also. And the way this movie approaches grief, like sometimes it's really deadpan, and I really enjoy that. Tilda Swinton, like usually she's kind of repulsive in these movies. Like I absolutely hated her social services in Moonrise Kingdom. Like it's a great performance, but you just hate her because she's a social worker and he's an orphan, so you have to hate her character. But I thought she was actually like really nice. Like she's like, why aren't you including me in your little endeavors, kids? Like
Yeah.
she was really cute in this
Yeah.
movie. Um,
I
and I
loved
actually
her.
really liked her. I like how
Yeah, I love
Jeff
that
Goldblum
one
came in for
line.
one
Oh
line.
my God. Yeah, that was great. No, I love the Tilda.
I
Well, I don't know if I should say, I don't know if I should get too explicit since people maybe still haven't seen it, but yeah, I mean, there are so many people in this movie who have like so little screen time, but they just completely make the most of it. I did want to shout out Scarlett Johansson actually because I thought she was really good at employing that like deadpan delivery that Wes is so known for. I thought she was really, really great at that. I was a little surprised because sometimes, I don't know, I'm mixed on her sometimes, but I really liked her in this.
Or the scene when she's like any scene where she's getting Jason Schwartzman to read lines with her, I thought was so
Hmm.
great.
Mhm. And he's
Yeah.
the window scenes. That
Yeah.
she'd only been in Isle of Dogs prior, right?
Yeah,
Or was she in something else? Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, I think
Hmm.
she's a really good like addition to kind of like the West
Yeah.
assembly of players,
absolutely.
just nailing the
Yeah.
Same with
deadpan
Stephen
and
Park, actually, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I think
remember one of the
it's
first
maybe
things.
like one of Tom
Sorry, go
Hanks's
ahead.
like better recent performances. It's just like so subtly effective, especially when you look at some of the things he was doing last year. He was being a little crazy in
He had a weird year
2022,
dialing it
last
up.
but
year.
Yeah.
yeah.
Elvis, what else?
But
Otto
he's
was
back.
all
He's
right.
back.
Yeah. Anything is better than his Elvis performance.
This is another one where the music is so good too, because you have Desplat doing the score again, which is like this wonderful like twinkling score that I think is so good for like the kind of more
Mhm.
sci-fi stuff. But the soundtrack they're pulling from a lot of like country and western, like blues songs from that era, which is the mid '50s. Um, and I thought that that was really effective. I thought both the opening and the closing songs that they used for the film were really really wonderful. The lyrics just complemented the action so well, and then you have that one original song that
Jarvis
is
Cocker.
like perfect. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, the score was very kind of it was much more reserved than it normally is. I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
like I there like the album's only like an EP. There's only a handful of tracks and most of
Yeah, I
them
think
kind
he
of go off
composed
of
like
like that na
six.
na 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 na, and
Yeah,
that's like
it's
the
all the same
twinkling
riff.
noise.
Yeah.
But that too has kind of been something that like on retrospect like a week ago. I've just been thinking back and being like, yeah, and actually maybe I was a little too nitpicky at first. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to paying more attention to going back
I'd like to
because
rewatch this one too.
Yeah, the kids in this are great. I mean, going back to like how great Wes is at working with children, like you have teenage characters in this, and then like some younger children with like the classroom and the three sisters. Um, and I just thought they were all so delightful, and especially with the teenagers, like they're all there for like this sort of like science fair thing, and they're all these like nerds, and the way they just kind of like nerd out together felt very like true to what happens when you're a kid and then you find another kid who has the same interests as you and then you just kind of like go crazy. I love that.
Yeah, I love how like they're probably like we've been talking about, like they're probably outsiders in their own schools, and then here they're like,
Mhm.
these are my people. We can name all these
Right.
like famous historians and whatever. These famous
Hmm.
historians.
Yeah.
That circle game that was never going to end, probably.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I love that. Those little jokes with the kids. So we can start
Yeah.
with Katie this time. What's your rating for this movie?
I think it's a 10. I think if you had asked me like a few days ago, maybe a 9, but I'm gonna say 10 because I think I'm gonna find even more things that I like when I do get to go see it again. I think there's just so much in this film to pull out of it.
Is this your favorite of the year so far?
It is. Yeah.
This, for me, I would say it's getting really close to that 8 out of 10. It's a 7 for now, but I'm pretty
Me
sure
too.
I'm pretty sure
Seven.
all I need is the rewatch, and I'll pump that score up because the more I think about it, the more I hear from other people, it's just I keep going back to my thoughts. And I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should reconsider.
Yeah, ditto.